Hi, this is Janos, this is Real World Audio, and welcome to my channel. If you are new, then this is a channel for music lovers, audiophiles who are not really interested in mainstream audio, so you want to know a little bit more behind the scenes and not just the glossy papers and not just the surface. You are kind of fed up with just lapping up what the commercials are providing at the first glance, but you really want to just kind of like know more about the substance behind audio. So last week, for this video that I have here, this smiley face gentleman jumping at you with 3 fingers like Yoda, I think everyone recognized that's me. What a surprise. So anyway, this was a video that I made for a question about whether it's a good idea to change over a loudspeaker that had a passive crossover to make it into an active crossover system. And I made this short video which I called Quick Fix. So all of these videos of mine which are called Quick Fix, it means that it's a very short format video, and this has a blessing and a curse in disguise with it. The blessing is that it's short. If you have 5-6 minutes, yep, you listen to it, done. But that's the problem, because in 5-6 minutes all I can say is just, like in this case, the ground zero and nothing else. It doesn't fit. And now I'm making a follow-up video to it, and this is not going to be a quick fix, so I will be able to tell more about it. And I'm going to look at the comments I received for this video, which are really fantastic, and I'm going to go along those lines and expand more. So when you think about passive versus active, this is like step 0 if you are thinking whether I can make the change or not. So that is just ground zero consideration, and I did that ground zero consideration at video, because if you cannot commit to that, then forget about it. And if you can commit to that, it still doesn't mean that it will work for you. You still might not be able to go active instead of your current passive. And that's what I'm going to explore today, and we'll show it to you that even if you have like 3 pairs of amplifiers, as in the case of this specific question I answered when there was a 3-way loudspeaker in question, or if you have a 2-way loudspeaker in it, 2 pairs of amplifiers, 4-way loudspeaker, 4 pairs of amplifiers, etc. As many different drivers you have, where the passive crossover is splitting it to how many ways, that's the number of amplifiers you need to make a fully active system. And now let's go into it a little bit deeper so we can understand more about it. And are there any shortcuts to it? For example, you have a 3-way system. Can you use 2 pairs of amplifiers only? Yes. And I will talk about it, but then it will not be a purely active system. You can create a hybrid active passive systems. So let's just jump into it. And at first, I don't know if anyone else noticed, apart from me, is that YouTube has changed its format. And I'm showing my smiley face here because I'm not smiling right now. I'm frowning on the inside at YouTube, because they destroyed the format, at least how I see it on my computer screen. I really sincerely hope that's not how it shows up for you, but I have a hunch that YouTube made a change in how their videos appear, and this change is, I fear it's going to severely impact the comment section very negatively. And as you see, what well, you don't see, but how these videos appeared to me in the past is that there was the video on top, and here, instead of Eric Clapton and this young gentleman, there were the description of the video, and then there was the comment section here. And instead of that, what YouTube is doing, I don't even, the description is there. It just squeezed it there in a few lines, and the comments section, there's a description, and the comment section starts right there with those tiny squeezed in format. So if you have like if I have, or any of you who have channels have like 50 comments or hundreds of comments, it's entirely impossible to follow those comments and read them or comment on existing comments. This YouTube, you are killing the comments. This is absolutely atrocious. And also I've noticed that this is one of the formats I see the videos popping up. The other one is that the comments get put on the bottom of this list here, so all I see is the suggestions, and at the very bottom of the suggestions starts the comments. That's even worse when it loads like that, because when I try to type in a comment, it starts reloading and I have to scroll down to the bottom, and when I finish scrolling down to the bottom and I found the comment and I click on the comment to comment on it, it again loads up. And yesterday I found that I wanted to answer my own bloody comments and I could not, because when I started, I wanted to type something, and YouTube just reloaded the bloody page. And I think I really hope this is a glitch that YouTube is going to fix within the next few days, and if not, I have really a suspicion that it's a trend that I have seen from YouTube from the past few years, that they want to change the platform from being an interactive platform to people who have more than a cabbage in their headspace, more than two neurons talking to each other, and being able to write comments and generate activity and community. And YouTube just wants to have this TikTok style idiotic brain damaging 30-second video clips made for children. I don't know, last week I watched a YouTube video on the top 10 channels who have the top 10 hits, like view counts, and these are almost all of them are channels for children. And they have like Minecraft videos and like kids jumping around with idiotic faces, and just really stupid brain damaging shit. And that video alone, seeing what YouTube supports as their main prominent content contribution to society, I just have no words for that. I think it's probably really wonderful for them. It's making really good revenues and marketing and everything, but I don't know. What I am seeing in parallel is that even though my subscribers are getting more and more subscribers every month, and thank you for being interested, but my view counts, the actual views that my videos are being viewed, are less and less. They are dramatically less than 2 years ago. And that's why I am saying, and I started showing on my videos as text, that if you know about people who would be interested in video, let them know about my channel, and not just my channel, let them know about other channels. For example, I'm just thinking about Stereo Police. Sadly, he has just quit his audio channel, which has been a fantastic channel. I supremely loved it. It was really the first YouTube channel that I started watching on YouTube. And that's why I am on YouTube, because I was watching Stereo Police's videos. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here at all. And YouTube just quit showing to me his videos that he posted, even though I am subscribed to his videos and I have the notification bell hit, and it's supposed to show me that he's posted videos. And I think maybe I just searched for his page or something, and then I found that he's posted recently a bunch of videos, and that's it. So that's my warning for all of you, that if you have favorite channels, if you have people you want to see content from, then be active and watch out and seek out their channels. It's that you're subscribed means nothing. It means that when you go on your subscription list, you can click on the channel and see what's going on, but you have to be active. You have to click on your page to go to the channels page and see the videos they posted, because YouTube does not give a grain of sand about us, about these little channels who want to educate, who have comment sections where we have intelligent conversation, not just that pub style, brawl style, trolling monstrosities that I see on mainstream audio sites, audio channels, which is just absolutely atrocious, the type of commenting there is. And I can understand that YouTube doesn't want that to continue at all, but when you have intelligent people with IQ over 5, and getting together respectfully, kindly, for these channels you have to be proactive and go after them yourself, because YouTube is not going to push these content on you. So that's why I always say that if you like what you hear, you want to learn about audio, you want to find people whom you can connect to, give advice to them, give advice to each other, find out voices, share experiences, you have to be active. You cannot just be a potato sitting on your couch and expect that information will be dumped on you, because it will be the Minecraft level stupid, mindless content that you will get. And always, even not just in Minecraft and kid stuff, but in audio as well, the highest view count videos will be the most low level IQ content, which have the most show and the least substance. That's what's thrown at you. But if you want substance, you have to go for that. Now, I really hope I haven't wasted anyone's time. I think what I said in the past few minutes, probably that's the most important thing I ever said on YouTube, because it's going to, it's impacting not just my little channel, but every channel. And if you want to find anything on YouTube that is good for you, you need to go out for it. And it's going to make a big difference in your life if you employ that strategy. So essentially, the comment section became totally useless, and the only way for me to answer the comments or even read them properly is to go to my channel's page as an editor, as a channel owner, and there when I click on the video, and I can click on the comments, and I can have YouTube list out the comments, and I can give answers to them and read them. But still you will be in difficulty reading them in that crazy format. So I'm really sad about it, but even as a YouTube content creator, I have zero power, zero say, zero influence on YouTube. I don't even have a contact where I can contact YouTube to give them feedback. So the only feedback I can give to YouTube is to share in my videos to you what's happening on the platform, and then we'll see. So just we can be aware what is happening, but they go in the direction they want, where money takes them, and that's out of our hands. And I really hope that we still have some time while this platform is somewhat of use to connect us, the audio community, together and to share information. So Gentielio was he was the one who gave me this the idea to talk about going from passive to active, and what he was saying as a follow-up to this video is that the reason why he's doing it, because he has an older pair of speakers and he wants to upgrade the crossover, and he thought that why, because usually companies just put like really cheesy crossover parts in loudspeakers. By far the crossover parts are the bottleneck in loudspeakers, and you can just elevate the experience you have with your loudspeakers when you upgrade the crossover parts. And of course, when you have an older pair of loudspeaker, even if you put the exact same parts there, but putting in new capacitors, it will be very different, because capacitors wear out during the decades, electrolytics dry out, they don't function properly anymore, and just by even just putting those cheesy electrolytics back, it will sound a whole lot better than how it is sounding now. And if you upgrade it to better quality parts, it will sound leagues better than what you are experiencing now. And what he was asking is that with a component or whatever to crossover, the active way the signal would be more pure. I think like what it is that we consider as pure. I will comment on this a little bit later on. We'll see some of the more of the comments will have part of the answer, and my reason is that whether it will be more pure or not depends on the application. So we can employ each technology in a way that it could be more or less pure. It depends 100% on the application. We cannot just say like either which is more or not. However, what I am going to share here is I think one of the first comments I received on it was let's see. Oh, here, this is something really important. So asymmetrical crossover, impedance compensation circuits, notch filters, so all of those things are corrected and taken care of by passive parts, the passive filtering parts. But when you go to active crossover, it's not going to take care of these things. What an active crossover does is that it will give you, like you can set like what kind of slope you want for the crossover, and it will give you that slope. But if you need a shelf like or a notch or impedance correction, active crossover is unable to do that. Or you need to level each driver differently. Then theoretically active crossover could do that, but when I was looking at crossover solutions, my buddy Irvin was thinking to go active a couple years ago, and we were looking at solutions, and I was aghast because the available active crossovers that we found were vastly more primitive than I thought that the technology would allow. So I think at this moment the active crossover technology, the applications that we are getting, what we can put into our speakers, are just very primitive compared to what the technology is promising and what it could do, provided we would have more sophisticated crossovers. Because technically we could provide an EQ for an active crossover. It would be doable to put like notches inside, put like asymmetrical cuts, it would be a different leveling. It is doable by the technology, but the solutions you can actually purchase, to my knowledge, don't allow that. And now I would really welcome if someone who is very knowledgeable or more knowledgeable than me about active crossover solutions could share in the comments whether who are the companies, what are those products that they are more sophisticated than just the bare basics we found a couple of years ago. I have to admit that since then I haven't looked at all into any active solutions, but to my knowledge I have not seen anything that is sophisticated enough to actually take care of real world complex crossovers. Because when we look at a crossover, I'm going to now show you something, and just to connect each other better, this is Jürgen's channel, and I have to say, and as you see, it's a German language channel, and I have to say here that in German language there are tons better audio channels than in English channel, and the discussions they have, the DIY community on YouTube in German language is thriving. It's phenomenal. They put the English speaking part of the world to a crying bloody shame. They are butt shaming us to an astonishing degree, and Jürgen's channel is absolutely wonderful. And you see behind me my speakers, the Lagrange speakers. That was these speakers came into being because of Jürgen. So I teamed up with him and built them and designed them based on the common idea we had. That idea from Torsten from Snake Oil Audio, another German language channel, because Torsten was reviewing Jean Hiraga's Le Petit speakers, and I built them based on Le Petit, and what I did, I ended designing my design based on Le Petit, and Jürgen also did his ideas based on Le Petit. And when we were developing each other, that's like behind the scenes, we were in communication with each other, with Jürgen, and sharing ideas and giving suggestions to each other, where do we want to take it. And then we decided on me taking this approach and he taking that approach, and we present both of these approaches to you on our respective channels. And after that project, Jürgen also decided to try out the exact opposite of this type of approach, which is a single driver loudspeaker, that he took a three-way design and built it. It's called a Silenos Faber. It's a DIY design, and he built it for himself. And it's a three-way loudspeaker, and here he shows the crossover. And as you see, this is a three-part crossover. So let's see which one is here. So here we have a woofer, and as you see the woofer here, this crossover, there's an inductor and there's a capacitor. So it means this is a second order low pass filter. And then look at that, there's some that's a filter there with a capacitor, a resistor, and an inductor. So that's like a leveling filter, a notch filter there to adjust part of the driver's output, so it's doing leveling and also some impedance correction as well. So this filter you cannot change to an active filter, because the active part you can only change this for an active part with those active crossovers that are available to my knowledge. and to have this functionality built in. Maybe a next generation of active crossovers will be able to handle that, but to my knowledge I do not know of any current crossovers, active crossover solutions that can provide you a viable solution to change this passive filter to an active filter. Now, a viable solution would be just to change this part, the second order slope, to an active filter, and keep this notch filter, that network there as a passive network equalizing the driver's output. So it becomes an active passive hybrid, and of course with that you lose part of the active filter's advantage, which is that you don't have to hassle around with parts here. And actually I think personally the biggest problem with passive crossovers is not that they're passive, it's not that you have parts in there, but the problem is that they put cheeseball parts in those positions, and to improve that you need to invest in money. And if you invest in money to improve this network, compared to that investment, improving that part of the crossover is not that big of a difference. It will cost you less money than getting an active crossover and an additional amplifier. The price for these two, this one inductor and one capacitor, will be vastly under the cost of an amplifier plus the DSP unit doing the crossover splitting. We have a similar situation here with the mid-range unit, and for the mid-range unit, we see there's a resistor right there, so we have a leveling there. So even if we can change the crossover to passive, we need to keep that resistor in line to keep the driver's response respective to the woofer. Or maybe you can do like set the gain on the amplifier and change it, but then you'll have the problem of how the gain structure is working, so that when you turn the volume, the master volume up and down, it might level in a different way compared to having just a fixed resistor there. So you might be introducing another unknown into the solution if you follow that path. However, when we are here, you see that there's a capacitor here, an inductor, and then there's an inductor, capacitor, inductor, and a resistor there. Why is it so complicated? Because the mid-range unit needs both a low-pass filter and a high-pass filter. So you see here we have a high-pass filter with a capacitor and an inductor, which is like a second order, and here we have a third order low-pass filter that starts with an inductor, capacitor, and another inductor. So that's why it's third order 1, 2, 3. However, those capacitors don't just return to ground, but there's a resistor there, so there's also like a adjustment there going on, and you cannot just find an equal active slope to change this crossover point, crossover slope. So there you go. In this speaker we tried two of the drivers and none of them have a viable active solution to change that. Now let's go for the third one, the tweeter, and let's hope that at least we can make it active. Can we? Nah. There's a capacitor, inductor, capacitor, so this is also a third order filter, and there's a resistor. So there you go. Your choice is maybe just to get this third order crossover, substitute it with an active crossover, but then you need to leave this resistor in place And it's not just dropping the level, it's also adjusting the impedance of the driver. So that's why in an active solution you cannot just change it, fix it by changing the volume, because that does not fix the impedance mismatch that is being corrected by that resistor. And I have to tell you that this is a very generic situation, that when you take 100 pair of loudspeakers, 2 or 3-way loudspeakers, this is what you are going to find in the crossover, is that if you want to find a pair of commercial loudspeakers that can be converted from passive crossover to active crossover using identical slope, identical crossover, it is impossible, not possible. So my suggestion is, if you want to play around with active crossover, then you need to design your active loudspeaker from ground up, and do not take an available commercial model and try to retrofit it with active, because you are going to have a very hard time with it. And when you do that, inevitably you will reach the conclusion that you will need to change 1 or 2 or 3 of the drivers to different drivers, or you need to change the cabinet. Something will have to give and will have to be changed, because you do not have the exact same impedance alignment, notch filtering, asymmetric slopes. All of these have to be accounted for by using different drivers than what these compensations are using with these drivers. So I think that's it, that when my recommendation is that when you have a loudspeaker and you are not satisfied with the crossover in it, then improve the quality of the parts that you find here. So for example, talking about this loudspeaker, what you can do is, if you have it, you built it, let's say Jürgen built it and he wants to improve on it, what he can do, like number one thing, we have here an electrolytic capacitor, and the number one thing he can do is to try to substitute it with a film capacitor. That will be a big potential improvement, quite a huge improvement. Of course, why is there electrolytic capacitor? Because you need a high value capacitor there, and electrolytics are cheap and small, and having a high value film capacitor, it can cost you a whole lot of money. Now that's why you need to watch my channel because I can recommend you affordable high value capacitors, film capacitors. These are called DC link capacitors, DC link film technology, and DC link capacitors nowadays are pretty affordable, very affordable. And when you get the Kemet brand, the CQ4A or CA4Q, I forgot. So this series, the CQ4A, these 4 letters are in the capacitor. So you can get the Kemet or you can get the Panasonic. These are the ones that I'm using and I've tried. They sound very, very good. And what I have noticed is that when these DC link capacitors, when you are breaking them in the beginning, the first couple hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, they sound like plasticky. There's a very strong plastic taste in them, and if you just decide to toss them out and not let them break in anymore, it will be your loss, because that plastic taste from the sound will be completely gone when they break in, and they will sound exactly like Mundorf film capacitors. And not the higher tier of Mundorf, like the mid lower tier of Mundorf capacitors, at a fraction of the cost of those capacitors. So that's one really nice choice. And if you want to take them further, you can bypass them with higher quality capacitors. And for those of you who are the really high level freaks, the Kemet D-ceiling capacitors mix extremely well, even with the Duelund or Miflex capacitors. Their cast copper capacitors are wonderfully mixable with DC links, and it will be very similar, the end result, as if you purchase the high value Duelund capacitor there, which will probably cost you more than your car. So that's one thing. Upgrade the capacitors, get as high quality ones as you can find, and that's it. And some of the comments on the video here said that the problem is that manufacturers do not publish the schematics for their crossovers. Don't worry about that. Just open up your cabinet, look at the crossover, and just read the values of the capacitors, how many microfarads, what is the voltage rating, and look up capacitors that have the same microfarad rating, the same capacitance, and equal or higher voltage rating. And there you go, put them inside and you have wonderful cabinets. So that's what I did with my Mirage speakers. A couple years ago I had those videos, I had 2 videos on them, showing you the crossover and the changes I did. I just got some capacitors from my junk box, laying around, but even if I wanted to buy them, purchase them, the whole thing, crossover upgrade, was would have been well under $100, and the change that I observed in the sound was absolutely hyper massive. And my buddy Irving commented that these would be now, with those capacitor changes, those ancient Mirage speakers sounded as good as some very expensive loudspeakers today. So let's see, what time is it now? 37 minutes, my goodness. So I think that was way too long, and I think I need some liquids, and hopefully this was a little bit educational. And here it is. Azar commented about that part about the lack of published crossover, so you can get around that. And there's also, like, I get comments to preference for passive crossover. What I have noticed is that passive versus active, which is quote-unquote better, and what I found that for each person, they have their own preferences. They take you to very different paths of how you experience music with either of them. And I think, like, with active crossover, it will take you more towards the studio PA sound type and show. That's where it's going to take you. So if that's kind of like where you wanna expand, then going active crossover systems will get you there more easily. And now the other aspect is like getting more like unamplified, unplugged, unedited sound, and which is focused more on the tonality, on harmonic content, than passive will get you there. If you're just thinking about resolution, then active will take you more towards the resolution part. And it's not because it's going to give you more resolution, but it's going to give you a sound that will captivate that part of brain, that will make it focus on the resolution. And when you have very high quality passive, it will not force your brain on the resolution aspect, but it will allow, it will I would say force, not really force, but it will allow your perception to go more towards perceiving the music itself and not how it sounds. But to get there, you need to have a really good implementation for the crossover. You need to go, what I noticed that when you go for those cheeseball crossovers, which are put in the very affordable lower model speakers, those are not good. I don't recommend them to anyone, and they just hamstring the living fudge out of the majority of loudspeakers available. And when you substitute that cheese flood with an active system that if you can substitute it, then it will be like a revelation. But then there's another level of revelation that goes beyond it when you have a system with really high level passive components. That's the next level of revelation beyond active, in my experience. And why is that? The reason for that is here it is. Is the harmonic train of the crossovers. What does that mean? So it means that each of the notes we hear is not just we hear frequencies and done with it, but there are harmonic components riding together. And when we have passive crossovers, they are the passive effect, the distortion, that the alteration they cause to the sound has a very limited harmonic range. And with active crossover, the alteration, that it's hard cutting those frequencies, it does have a ripple effect to very high order harmonic content. And that's why, and you cannot do anything about that. That's the nature of the active crossover. And that is why it will take you towards like a PA system type of sound and more like a resolution type of sound, because it's damaging the harmonic content of the material. And that's why you will go better with high quality passives if you want to listen to tonality, to harmonics, because they are more suitable by the technology to preserve the harmonic content of harmonic information of the music, the tonality. And so that's it. Now I'm hitting 42 minutes, so it's time to stop. Hopefully the video records well and the sound records well. And thank you, team, for hanging on. And this has been a fantastic Audio Club Monday, and let's check in next Monday. Bye, team. Bye bye.